Good morning. Good morning. You are listening to WCEG Network. We are the worldwide community empowerment group. We speak life into the community. Log on to WCEGtalkradio.com. Watch us live on your smart TV, on Roku, cable channel, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and now we are on Fanbase and Blue Sky. Search for WCEG and subscribe on all social media platforms. I'm attorney Mel LaGrone with LaGrone Law, and I am your host this morning for Beyond the Border, where we speak all things immigration. Download our free WCEG mobile apps. Alexa, play WCEG Talk Radio. Listen to WCEG on all of our 12 podcast distribution platforms. And last but not least, our disclaimer. The topics and opinions are those of the show host and guests and not of WCEG Network. Thank you all for your continued support. Okay, you guys, we have a lot to talk about this morning, and I am going to get in as much as I can get in before we head on out for the rest of the day. So today's show is going to be all about immigration updates. Of course, because there's been a lot of misinformation, things like that, a lot of things that people aren't understanding. The news, the whole fear mongering and the news, kind of just, like taking things to the extreme. And really not, I think, you know, giving us the valid information, giving us the information that we really need to know. So I am going to start with things that Trump 2.0 has taken away, all right, when it comes to immigrants. So first and foremost, he has paused refugee resettlement. And these are people who already had like approved cases that were settling. They were going to settle here in the United States. He has paused that refugee resettlement. He has ended humanitarian parole for immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. This affects probably like over 500,000 people. So that's 500,000 people by him taking away this program that this is going to affect. And these are people who are already living here, you guys. So now, what are they to do? They just got to go back to their home countries? Like, what is happening right now in Cuba? What is happening in Haiti? What is happening in Venezuela? What is happening in Nicaragua? Can they just up and just be like, oh, okay, I'm going to go back home to my home country? We already know about the executive order regarding birthright citizenship. But that has now been blocked by federal judges, and they're calling it unconstitutional. So this is going to be something that's probably going to be tied up in the court system for a while, which is good. Because at the end of the day, if someone is born in the United States, they are a United States citizen, period. So hopefully, like I said, this will just continue to be tied up in the courts, and it will be blocked forever, and it will not move forward. Let's see, what else has he done? He has taken some measures in his executive orders that are set. So what happened was, I don't know if you guys remember, so we're going to say Trump 1.0. So his, when he was here the first time, okay, he had already, made some executive orders regarding immigration. And so what he has done now in Trump 2.0 is he's really just trying to reintroduce those policies. And a lot of those policies had already been blocked by the courts. They were blocked by lawsuits and things like that. And I think he's just on a mission to try to do it again and see what happens. But hopefully the courts, the citizens of America and things like that will continue to file lawsuits, continue to block these irrational executive orders that are done primarily on hate. primarily on hate. That is what it is, because there's no reason for what is happening, especially if you don't, have a criminal record. You know what I'm saying? If you were here because of already a certain program, which means that you were here legally in the United States, um, it's totally, to me, defeating his quote unquote purpose of protecting the United States, and getting rid of those with criminal records. Um, all right, let's talk about TPS. So temporary protective status. Temporary protective status, if you all remember from like my last, shows and things like that, that is when you are granted temporary protective status from going back to your home country because of what is happening in your home country. So in other words, it could be armed conflict. It could be national disasters, things like that. So when you're granted temporary protective status, you are able to stay in the United States if you're a foreign national from those particular countries, and you can get a work authorization. You can work in the US, which means that you can pay taxes, and you stay here until they decide that they're going to, um, you know, get rid of that particular their status. All right. Well, usually those temporary protective statuses are not canceled until whatever is happening in those countries have been resolved. So until things are better, if there was a national disaster, then until, things are back to normal and people are able to live their lives like they're supposed to, and, there's no threats on, people still continuing to be homeless and without food and shelter and those types of situations. Well, Trump 2.0 has canceled TPS for Venezuela. And what that means is that it's going to affect almost 600,000 people. And the way that it's going to happen is for those people who became eligible for TPS from Venezuela in 2023, it is now going to end in April of 2025. And those who became eligible from Venezuela in 2021, their status now is going to end in September of 2025. I don't know if you all remember, but President Biden had extended Venezuela temporary protective status until 2026. Well, that is now wiped away. There have been several Venezuelans in Florida who have filed a lawsuit. So we're hoping that that will end up blocking or temporarily blocking this cancellation of TPS for Venezuela. And then that way, these people can continue to stay here, live their lives, work, support their families, and not have to worry about going back to Venezuela with whatever is still going on there. Now, to me, like the most heartbreaking one is that TPS for Haiti is set to end and not be extended. And my understanding is this is set to end August 2nd of 2025. Once again, this is going to affect 500,000 people. 500,000 people are at risk of being deported simply because they're Haitian. So you tell me, where is this protecting of the United States and, deporting criminals and all of that when 500,000 people who have been living here, some of them since 2010, that was when temporary protective status for Haiti was first designated in 2010. And these people have been living here all of their lives since 2010, and now they are in fear of being deported back to their home country simply because they're Haitian, not because of anything else, not because of a criminal record, not because they're a danger to society or nothing, simply because of hate. Now, do you all even know what is still happening right now in Haiti? Now, I had to research this because I didn't even know what was still going on in Haiti. But my understanding, the conditions there are in this, Caribbean country are still deteriorating. There are still many, many people that are homeless, without food, without shelter, things like that. The gangs have not stopped. So the gangs control about 85% of the country. How about that? Um, it is said that more than 5,000 people were killed last year due to gang violence. That is ridiculous. And yet you're going to send 500,000 people back to Haiti simply because you decided you just want to cancel them being here in the United States. Um, Assaults on children, assaults on women, all of that have increased in Haiti. But yet these people are going to possibly be deported back to Haiti in these conditions just because. That is what we're dealing with, you guys, right now. That is what we're dealing with. Don't get it fooled. Don't get it, twisted. Things like that. Don't think of, what you hear in the news. Oh, there's so many criminal immigrants and they're doing this to society and they're doing that. No, these people right here, not criminals, have not done anything wrong. They are simply living their life. They are paying taxes. They are contributing to our economy and to America. And simply because of their nationality, they are going to have to go back to their home country. And you guys, let me tell you, I wrote like I got notes for days, notes, and more notes because I had so much that I wanted to talk to today and I didn't want to miss anything. So Trump's narrative of we are sending immigrants back, that their first and foremost is going to be those of violent criminals, okay, is BS, okay? It's flat out BS. Less than half of those who have been deported up until today have had criminal convictions. Uh, uh, what does this mean? So where's all these violent criminals that he's sending back? It's untrue. And I guess what people truly don't even realize is how much deporting immigrants and deporting millions of people is going to affect our US economy. Food costs increasing, housing costs increasing, other prices of things, goods, services, things like that increasing. And it is said that Trump has asked Congress for $175 billion to use over the next 4 years on immigration enforcement. Why? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Do you know what we could do with that money? Do you know where that money could go to, increase, things in America, healthcare, research, cancer research, Alzheimer's research, things that are really affecting the American citizens, where that money could go to help that? No, $175 billion so that he can, over the next 4 years, amp up and increase immigration enforcement. Makes no sense whatsoever. And definitely is not the best use of American dollars. And I want you guys to also to remember this. Immigrants contribute to this society. Immigrants contribute to America. They pay taxes, y'all. They work. They pay taxes. They, buy food. They buy resources. They buy services. They are giving their money to us, to America, to the United States, so that they could just simply live and work here and supply, the best means possible for their family. So they are contributing to our economy. What happens now if millions of people, now mind you, all aren't, but most are because they are working and paying taxes. What happens when when all of that leaves? Okay, when all of that's gone? What is the end goal? I guess that's my confusion today. And it was funny because this morning, I was having a conversation with my mother and I was like, what is the end goal? Because I'm not seeing it. if you're trying to protect America and you're trying to get rid of criminals and things like that, okay, well, there's more United States American criminals than than immigrant criminals, okay? So ultimately, what is the end goal with taking all these people and then just sending them away and spending billions of American dollars to do that? What is the end goal? There has also been a new directive, okay, from ICE and Homeland Security that if you were apprehended at the border, okay, so this affects the bordering, states like, Texas, which is huge, okay. If you were apprehended at the border or within 2 weeks or 100 miles of the border, and you came over, and usually when that happens, you're claiming asylum, all right? You're claiming, I am fearful of going back to my home country because of X, Y, and Z. And your asylum claims are usually because gangs, you've been targeted by the government, your political stance, your sexual, orientation, things like that. That is why people claim asylum. So this particular group of people now have been targeted for expedited removal. Even if you have a hearing that is about to, you've got a hearing notice. And so usually what they do when they let you go, they give you what's called a notice to appear. And they give you a hearing in immigration court. So even if you have a hearing notice, even if you have already applied for asylum, because when you're here, you have to apply for asylum within 1 year of being here. So even if you've applied for asylum and you have a work permit, okay, so you're here working, once again, like I said, contributing to society, America, economy, paying taxes, expedited removal, which means that they're probably getting a list together of everyone who is in the system, and they're going out to find them and they're removing them immediately with no due process, no going in front of the judge, nothing. So if this is you, if this is your situation, if this is a friend or family member or anything like that, you need to reach out to an immigration attorney. And like I always tell you all, I don't care if you call me. I don't care if you call the next immigration attorney. I don't care if you call somebody else, somebody in your home state, whatever. Call an immigration attorney who does removal defense. Tell them your situation, which means you need to schedule a consultation or a case strategy session with them and see if you have other options. See if there is a way that they can help you through this, because they will tell you yes or no on whether or not they are able to help you with your particular unique situation. So please call them. Don't hesitate to call them. The next thing that Trump 2.0 is doing is he has ordered legal service providers to stop their work helping unaccompanied migrant children. Let that sink in, okay? These are children, and let me tell you how this happens. These are children who are from another country, all right? They might have had a parent who has died. They might have had, okay, a parent has died and they don't know, they don't know their father. Let's say the mom has died, they don't know their father, okay? Someone in the United States has sent for them, so it could be like a distant relative. It could be, an aunt, an uncle, or it could be a friend of the family or something like that. They have crossed, or they've crossed the border, okay? So they are here by themselves. Now they've done all of this and they've come here by themselves without any parents. And we have what's called a program in the United States called Special Immigrant Juvenile Status. And what that means is that if these unaccompanied migrant children are here in the US and there's somebody here in the US that can take over guardianship over them, then they can go to their local courthouse, to their family court, and they can ask for permission or an order to grant them guardianship over this child, okay? And we're talking about children, so we're saying under 18, okay? It can be 5 years old, 6 years old, 10 years old, all right? Once that person is granted this custody of the child, then they can go to immigration court and they can file a petition for special immigrant juvenile status, which will eventually allow that child to receive a green card and be able to stay legally in the United States. So mind you, these children already have severe trauma. They've already dealt with the fact that they cannot be reunified with their family, their mother or their father. They've already possibly have spent, you know what I'm saying, days by themselves and with a group of other people and stuff like that, to where they have traveled to the United States so that they can find, some sort of solace, with somebody that lives here in the United States. And Trump has now taken away, all right, the ability for these legal service providers to work with these unaccompanied migrant children. So the program is called Special Immigrant Juvenile Status, and it's a two-part thing. So first you have to go to the local court and ask for guardianship over this child. Once you get that, because one thing that the local court is going to ask is, one thing that you have to show is that there is no reunification of this minor child with one or both of their parents. And that is why you're seeking this guardianship. And then you have to go into immigration court and ask for the special immigrant juvenile status, petition, file it, and that is a path for this unaccompanied child to get a green card and now be able to live with you, somebody here in the United States, and be able to, hopefully be a productive part of, society, after already dealing with the severe trauma. And of course, once again, that is definitely a type of case that you want to reach out to an immigration attorney to help you with. And there's a lot of nonprofits right now. There's nonprofits all over the world that deal with this particular type of situation and visas and green cards only. And funding now is being taken away, all right? Ordering the legal service providers to stop, helping these children. What is the end game? What sense does that even make? None whatsoever. All right, let's see. I've got two more things I think that I want to cover before we head out. One is, so the Laken Riley Act. In Georgia, and that's where I am. So in Georgia, if you all recall, there was a gentleman, Jose Ibarra, who was convicted, okay, of murdering a nursing student, okay, who was going to a Georgia college. And her name was Laken Riley. So what the government, I guess, is arguing, all right, is that he was here, okay, this gentleman was here illegally, all right, so he was here without status. He was detained, so he was arrested at one point in time for like a theft, an alleged theft at Walmart, all right, and he was let go. So what they're claiming is that had he not been let go, had they, looked into his status, had they deported him at that time because of his theft charge, then Laken Riley would possibly still be alive. Okay, that is the argument. So what they came up with is the Laken Riley Act. And what that means is it requires Department of Homeland Security to detain illegal immigrants who have admitted to, charged with, or committed any sort of theft-related crimes, assault on a police officer, or a crime that results in death or serious bodily injury. Something like, drunk driving if it resulted in a death or serious bodily injury. Theft, you guys, theft, all right? So they're relating you being a shoplifter and an immigrant to you being a violent criminal and committing murder, assault, whatever that might be. Really? You know what I'm saying? How many people today in America who are US citizens shoplift? Okay. I do immigration and criminal defense, and I get a lot. All right. But now they're saying if you are here as an immigrant with no status and you shoplift, all right, then the government now has to, like, this is a must. If they do not take the next requirements to get you deported, to call Department of Homeland Security, so the local and state police and things like that, then they have a possibility of getting in trouble, being sued, being fined, whatever that might be. And what is ironic about this is that there is literally no data that correlates, okay, illegal immigration to violent crimes. There's no correlation of the two. Like, I just have to laugh. I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. Like, literally, I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. It's ridiculous. All right, last but not least, let's turn it over to Florida, okay? Because DeSantis is on a roll, y'all, on a roll. He's introduced two bills, and they have passed and they're signed into law, that maximizes now local and state participation in federal immigration enforcement. So that means that your local police, your state patrol, things like that are now gung-ho and on board, all right, to deport immigrants, okay? One of the things is for immigrants that are in the country without authorization, so that means that you are illegally here in the US, and you commit a crime in Florida, they are mandating the death penalty for those who are convicted of a capital offense like first-degree murder. Now, we all know that there are different states in the United States that have the death penalty, okay? It just is what it is. But it's not a mandate, okay? It is, yes, we have the death penalty, and if you commit murder, that is the highest possible sentence that you can get. But that is not necessarily what you're going to get. Florida is mandating it, meaning you commit a crime of murder or a capital offense, you are an illegal immigrant here in the United States, and you get the death penalty if you're convicted. DeSantis has made it that it is now a state crime if you enter Florida, okay, after being in the country without legal status. So if you enter into the United States without status and you enter Florida, okay, it is now a crime. It's a criminal offense to where you can be punished and sentenced in criminal court for that. Here's another one, y'all. Get this. Florida students who are in the country without status, so who are in the country illegally, will no longer be able to qualify for in-state tuition at public colleges and universities. So I'm not sure if you all know this, but you don't have to be documented to attend schools. All right, that's just something that we've had in the US. You can attend a school if you are undocumented, okay? But now they're saying that if you are undocumented and you are in Florida and you are attending a public college or university, no in-state tuition for you. Bye-bye. And then the biggest thing right now, aside from that, is that there's an agreement. All right, so there's an agreement between ICE, okay, Department of Homeland Security, and Florida Highway Patrol and the state and local police. And they have now been tasked, okay, and authorized to interrogate, arrest, detain, any immigrants, okay, in order to carry out like street level enforcement, who they have probable cause, okay, to believe committed a crime. All right. So what does that mean? That means that me as a Black woman, all right, and I'm walking down the street and ICE comes up to me because they think that I'm possibly from a different country. All right. They can detain me, they can interrogate me, they can even arrest me, okay, if they think that I potentially am here illegally. So, what does this all create? Nothing but racial discrimination. Okay, racial discrimination. Because I guarantee you, they're not going to go stop a little white boy or a really, really little, light skin, light person walking down the street to see if they're from Poland or Russia or if they're from Europe or Italy or something like that here illegally. Okay, it's going to be everybody, okay, that looks like this, Black and brown people. I guarantee it. All right. This is where we're at, y'all. This is where this country has now gone to. And it's disturbing on so many levels. There was a quote that DeSantis said regarding deportation, and it was like, and I quote, he says, deportation can be carried out more efficiently. So he's saying these rules now that he has with these local, state, and local police and government, deportation can be carried out more efficiently, making our communities safer as illegal aliens are removed. And there's those words again that just gives me goosebumps and it just frustrates me. Illegal aliens. First of all, nobody is an alien. First of all, nobody is illegal. You might have entered the country illegally, okay? But you are a human being. What are we doing? Okay. What are we doing, you guys? Seriously. That's all I got for you today. And I think that's enough. But I need everybody who is hearing me and who is watching this and who listens to our replays and things like that to really let this sink in. Really, really let this sink in. Okay. We are deporting people who are not criminals. We are deporting people and families who are going to go back to a country who might be killed, who might be, I'm saying, subject to, detention in their home country because they don't, maybe believe in the government, or who might be killed because gangs have already taken over their home country. Okay, we're deporting those people. And we are focusing on taking away the resources to helping minor children who have already suffered severe trauma, taking away the resource in order to help them live a better life here in the United States. Make it make sense, because it's not making sense to me. All right, everyone. Well, I want to thank you once again. I am attorney Mel LaGrone with LaGrone Law. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for, just kind of liking, following the show, WCEG Network, sending this information to your friends and family, and just keeping up with what is actually going on. Because don't forget, the news and everybody, they kind of, they let you know what what they want you to hear. But this is what is actually going on in the immigration world. So thank you once again. If you want to reach out to me, it is LaGrone Law. I am LaGrone Law on all social platforms. My office is in downtown Lawrenceville in Georgia, and we have an office in St. Thomas, the U.S. Virgin Islands. You can reach us at lagronelaw.com. 678-250-5449. If you are in the U.S. Virgin Islands, 340-626-0778. And like I said, you can find us on all social media platforms. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next month.